In this video, I'm going to be testing the new Claude Code rate limits that were announced yesterday from Anthropic. If you guys didn't know, yesterday Anthropic announced a massive partnership with SpaceX that is going to give them access to the Colossus One data center, which is one of the world's largest AI supercomputers. So xAI is now partnering with Grok, and there's a ton of information that I'm going to break down about this partnership, and we're also going to be testing these new Claude Code rate limits. But if you guys didn't know, they announced yesterday that effective today, they are doubling Claude's 5-hour rate limits for Pro, Max, and Team plans, and they're also removing that peak hours limit that we had. So if you look at this, they're removing the peak hours limit reduction on Claude Code for Pro and Max plans, and they're doubling the 5-hour rate limits. So this is huge. You know, I had to cancel my Claude subscription because the rate limits were just so intense. I mean, on Pro plans, I don't even know how users were able to use that. I heard people saying that they were hitting their limits within like 10 minutes. On my Max plan, the $200 20X plan, I was hitting my rate limits like within an hour. The rate limits on Claude Code lately have been insane, but this changes everything. So we definitely want to test this out and see, hey, how much more are we actually getting in this 5-hour window? And now with this peak hours limit reduction removed, do we have unlimited Claude Code? We're going to find out in this video, and I'm also going to be breaking down the SpaceX Anthropic partnership. But with that being said, I do have a like goal of 200 likes on this video, and if you haven't already joined the BridgeMind Discord community, the home of the vibe coding movement, make sure you do that. There's going to be a link in the description below. But with that being said, let's get right into testing out the new Claude Code rate limits. All right, so let's get started. So I do have 6 Claude Opus 4.7 agents that are all on extra high effort. So if you look at this, I'm on extra high effort. This is the 1 million context Opus 4.7 model, and I am working on Vibecademy. So Vibecademy is a competitor to Codecademy, but strictly focused on teaching vibe coding. So Codecademy has made the unfortunate decision to not teach vibe coding. They've for some reason decided that they want to continue to teach how to code, but you don't need to know how to code anymore. You just need to know how to use Claude Code and Codex. You can pretty much build anything you want. So this is what we're doing. We're building Vibecademy to enter the market. So I do have a Vibecademy app that I'm working on, and then we also have the website. But let's get started. We're going to be launching a ton of sub-agents inside of Claude Code to be able to test this. I need you to launch 5 sub-agents and do a deep dive on the SEO of the Vibecademy UI site. I need you to properly create a structured plan to implement best practices, review the bridge SEO skill, and create a structured plan for improvements for SEO for Vibecademy. So we're going to enter this, and that's my prompt. I am going to open up the sidebar here and go to skills. There is a skill over here called bridge SEO, which does help with SEO. I'm going to do an ultra think, and we're going to submit that. So that's going to be 5 sub-agents doing a deep dive there. I'm going to pass in the directory again. I need you to launch 5 deep dive agents and use the Lighthouse CLI to help me optimize this site for the fastest performance times on all devices as needed. Do an in-depth review and actually test this on both desktop and mobile, and test every single page, and then create a structured plan with all of your findings to help me optimize this site for speed and SEO performance. So we're going to submit that as well. Same thing here. I am going to drop an ultra think on this. Let's now go over here. This one, we are going to focus on the Vibecademy API. I need you to do a deep dive with 5 deep dive sub-agents and do a complete audit of the security of this API. Use the bridge security skill and do a complete audit and output all of your findings with a list of structured findings, and create a structured plan for any changes and fixes that need to be made to improve the security of this application. So we're now going to drag and drop this bridge security skill, and we are also going to do an ultra think on this too. And let's now go on to our 4th, and I'm going to pass in the Vibecademy web app, and I'm going to give it another prompt. Actually, I'm going to pass in both Vibecademy web app. Oh wait, it's not web app. That's a different project. It's just the Vibecademy app, and then it's also Vibecademy UI. I need you to do an in-depth review of the Vibecademy UI and its design MD file. I then need you to do an in-depth review of the Vibecademy app, and note that we need to update the styling and design of the Vibecademy app to use the same design MD practice and files from Vibecademy UI, and I need you to implement significant UI and design improvements inside of the Vibecademy app. Use 10 subagents to assist you in this process and completely revamp the Vibecademy app to use the same design principles that you see in Vibecademy UI and the same design but for the actual application. What I need you to do is I need you to use the front-end design plugin and update every single page in the Vibecademy app to be significantly improved and use the same design that you see in the Vibecademy UI. Okay, so we're going to launch this. This one's going to be working for a while. And this is a test, of the new rate limits. So the reason that I'm launching so many subagents is because subagents, if you didn't know, they use a ton of usage. So if you use subagents, which are very helpful, you guys can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 subagents running over here. There's going to be a fifth one that launches in a second. But you guys can see an SEO audit. This one's doing the technical foundation, metadata and OG, content and internal links. So it updates a lot. And using subagents is really a best practice, but let's actually take a look at the usage here. So we're at 11% usage. Remember, we started at 10%, okay? Just as a reference, it was at 10%. I should have showed you before I got started. But one thing to note about the Claude Code rate limits is now that we're basically seeing peak hour limits being removed, and then we're also seeing the 5-hour limit increased by 100%, I think that the new bottleneck for Claude Code rate limits is going to be in the weekly plan, because they did not announce that they were raising the weekly limits. So let's say that there was a bottleneck on the 5-hour limit. Now there's going to be a bottleneck on the weekly limit, but that's okay. They may raise that too, but in their announcements, they did not release anything about this. But let's get these additional agents prompted. So now I'm going to pass in a prompt for, this is going to be for the Vibecademy mobile app. And what we need to do here is we're going to drop in the Vibecademy mobile app, and then we're also going to drop in the API. I need you to do an in-depth review with 10 subagents of the Vibecademy mobile app and the Vibecademy API. I need you to completely build out the Vibecademy mobile app to properly connect with the Vibecademy API. We need a complete, robust mobile app that completely interfaces with the API, where users are able to take their courses, where they're able to learn, they're able to actually take the lessons and the quizzes and watch the videos all from the mobile app. I need you to launch all of these subagents, do a complete review first, and then create a structured plan for your implementations. Okay, so we're going to launch this one as well. So this is going to build out that mobile app. And then this last one here, what I want to work on is I do want to work on improvements in the UI of the site. So let's go over here. I need you to do a complete deep dive on the UI and design of the website. I need to add in more content, more sections in the website so that the website gets built out more. But I need you to use actual stock images that bring the website to life. It can't just be AI slop that is a generic design. I need you to use the front-end design plugin, and I need you to create new sections about Vibecademy that have stock images that bring the website to life. And I need you to launch 5 subagents to help you do this. Okay, so we're going to launch another 5 subagents, and you guys can even see here that inside of, I'm going to do an ultra think on this, inside of Claude Code, you guys can see all of these subagents running. So we have a main subagent, and then you have general purpose. This is the SEO audit. I already went over this one, but then this one you can even, go down here and actually look at all these. You have 3 that are launched so far here. You have 5 that are launched here, and then it looks like you have, 6 that are pending here. 4 have already launched, but this is going to be able to build this out for us. But while these are working, I think that this is going to be a super good test where, hey, after all these are finished, first of all, how well is this able to code? Second of all, where are our rate limits at after all of these finish? Because in total, what did we launch? Maybe like 40 subagents, right? So we'll test this, but in the meantime, let's actually go check out more about this SpaceX Anthropic partnership. This is the announcement that Anthropic made yesterday. So they said higher usage limits for Claude and a compute deal with SpaceX. So if you go down here, it's very interesting. They say we've agreed to a partnership with SpaceX that will substantially increase our compute capacity. This, along with our recent compute deals, means that we've been able to increase our usage limits for Claude Code and the Claude API. So they describe these usage limits, and what you can see here is they've basically 16x'd their usage limits on the API. So we saw a massive increase in the 5-hour limit, the removal of the peak hour limit reduction, and then they're also raising their API limits. So for people like Cursor, let's say, Cursor's a special one, but for people that are interfacing with the Claude API, API, they're now going to see a massive increase in the amount of usage that they're going to get. So at their 4 tiers, you can see that literally on tier 1, you can now use 500,000 tokens per minute. That's up from 30,000 on the input, and then 8,000 to 80,000. So that's literally 10x. This one is that 16x. I mean, it's insane. On tier 2, 450,000 to 2 million, 90,000 to 200,000. On tier 4, 2 million to 10 million, 400,000 to 800,000. So you guys get the point. This is a significant improvement in API rate limits, which is it's just insane. So this is the information about the deal. So this is the bulk information about the deal. They said we've signed an agreement with SpaceX to use all of the look at that, all of the compute capacity at their Colossus 1 data center. So it's not like they're getting like a few GPUs, like they're getting all of the compute capacity at their Colossus 1 data center. They say this gives us access to more than 300 megawatts of new capacity, over 220,000 NVIDIA GPUs within the month. This additional capacity will directly improve capacity for Claude Pro and Claude Max subscribers. So they basically talk about their different partnerships. They have the 5 gigawatt agreement with Amazon. They have a 5 gigawatt agreement with Google. They have a strategic partnership with Microsoft and NVIDIA. And then they have a $50 billion investment with America AI infrastructure. So basically, there is going to be a massive build out, which is huge. But the most interesting part about this is honestly this right here. As part of this agreement, we have also expressed interest in partnering with SpaceX to develop multiple gigawatts of Orbital AI compute capacity. So if you guys didn't know about this, there's this conversation in the space right now where they're talking about building data centers in space. And this pretty much gives Elon Musk exactly what he wants. He wants to use SpaceX and he wants to build data centers in space. SpaceX pretty much has a monopoly on this. They're the only company that would be able to do this. But this basically allows SpaceX to now start to build out this vision. So they're going to be developing data centers in space, and part of this agreement is that they're now going to be partnering with SpaceX to do that, which is just insane. Yesterday at the Anthropic Developer Conference, Dario did speak for a bit, and I want to play you guys this clip. It's a minute long, but look at what he says in this clip. It's actually fascinating, and I'll react to it a little bit.
For a world of 10x growth per year. In the first quarter of this year, we saw, if you were to annualize it, 80x.
That's crazy. 80x.
In revenue and usage. And so that is the reason we have had difficulties with compute, right?
Yeah.
We planned for anything from it only grows a little to it grows 10x, and yet we saw 80x.
80x. Oh my gosh.
And so, you know, as you saw today with the SpaceX compute deal, we're working as quickly as possible to provide more compute than we have in the past. We'll continue to do so. We'll pass that compute on to you as soon as we can do so. I guess I hope the 80x growth doesn't continue because that's just crazy and too hard to handle. I hope for some more normal numbers.
Okay. So basically what you guys can see that Dario is saying is that, you know, they saw massive growth in Q1 that was unexpected. So they were expecting 10x and it did 80x growth. So that's why we got hit with the peak hour limits. That's why we got hit with the 5-hour limits. And what he's saying now is, hey, we're solving this compute problem and it's going to be much better. We're going to pass that on to our users. And as you guys can see here, it looks like some of our Claude agents are finished up. Is this one is on, okay, this one is on sprint 1. Okay, continue with your work. Okay, this one is also continue with your work. Give me a quick update. And I'm going to paste the same thing here. So these are all still working. You guys can see this one's dropping in updates, this one as well. And this one has, you guys can see the 6 background tasks here are all still running. So our subagents are still running. Mostly this is just a test to see, okay, after 40 subagents run, are we going to be at 90% of our 5-hour limit, or are we going to be at like 30%? Because previously, if I did something like this, I would be like maxing it out. I mean, this is a lot of subagents, and subagents use a ton of usage because, you know, you're basically launching a new context window with its own subagent and you're doing 10 of them at a time, right? So it burns your usage, but the reason I'm doing this is for testing purposes. So let's let this finish out and I'll come back to you guys when it's done and we'll check our usage. All right, guys, all of my subagents are now complete. It's time for the moment of truth. It took about 30 minutes for all these to complete, but let's explain one of our Claude Code agents here. And remember, I was at 10% usage in my 5-hour window when I first started this test because I had been doing a little bit of vibe coding before I started making this video. But let's go and let's just do a /usage and check this out. And wow, okay, 48% used. So like I said, hey, we launched 50 subagents, and you know, typically if I launched 50 subagents, I would be hitting my limit. I would be like 90 to 100% through that limit. And we started at 10%, which means we only used 38% of our 5-hour limit in that 50 agent test. So this is very, very noticeable. I would have hit my limit before. Now I'm at 48% used, technically 38 if you don't include the amount that I did before, but this is a huge improvement. I can definitely notice the 100% improvement, and I now am kind of looking at the current week. I think that this is probably going to be the new bottleneck because, hey, now we're not going to hit our 5-hour limit as much, but look at this. I think when I started launching these subagents, were we at like 58%? You guys may be able to look back and see what it was in the video, but I think we were maybe at like 58%. So it did use up quite a bit of my current week. So I think that this is probably going to be the new bottleneck instead of the 5-hour limit, but we're going to continue to test this. I am going to be live today for day 175 of Vibecademy app until I make $1 million. Current AR is at 177,000. So we're going to keep on grinding. This is a huge enabler. I will say, I do think that the codex limits are still more generous. Even if I launch this on Codex, I don't think that I'd be as deep into my Codex limits. Codex is just incredibly generous. So I don't think that you can really compare Claude Code with Codex limits, but for people that were not using Claude Code because of the rate limits, I would definitely suggest that you go check it out again and see what you get with a pro plan. This was on the $200 20x max plan. So this is a huge enabler for us. We're going to be cooking today. I'm super happy that this happened. This is probably one of the biggest announcements in a while because now Anthropic, they're going to be able to give us more compute and usage. They're going to be able to train larger models. They're going to be able to train faster. So this is just huge for the AI space. I'm super excited about this. But with that being said, this was just a quick test of the new Claude Code rate limits. I'm super impressed. We got way more usage. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.